I'm your host, Sheldon Alexander, and we were doing all right. As the NBA playoffs continue, our Thursday pod, we went 3-2 against the spread. We're still at 25-17 against the spread in the NBA playoffs / play-in, and we're rolling with 37 wins, 21 losses, and a push against the spread since we've been doing NBA picks on this pod. Other series in the West, we got the Golden State Warriors versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Game one was on Sunday. Warriors won by 1 point, 117-116. Ja Morant missing at the buzzer, a scoop layup there, but it was a fun game. We're expecting a fun series ahead. Game two goes Tuesday. Golden State is favored by 2. And with it being such a short number, I'm going to be on the Warriors. I just think Memphis overall, if I look at this series, I just don't think Memphis, I know them going down 0-2 at home is like a massive, massive thing. But I also feel like that is a thing that a young team that's not really ready for prime time would do. Like Draymond, I know Draymond isn't he's not Steph Curry, but he's a very important part of that team. And he got ejected with a lot of time left in that game. And the Warriors just kept on moving. You got Jordan Poole coming off the bench and cooking like that. I just don't know if Memphis is ready to deal and handle. And there's I didn't like that play call at the end. I don't know. I just think Memphis isn't ready yet for this. So give me the Warriors in game 2 at -2. And I was tempted to say Warriors in 5 in this series, but I'm going to say Warriors in 6. It's just a tough, Memphis isn't there yet.
Yeah. So I guess that my question would be sort of how do you get to even 6 games, right? If they lose these first 2 games at home. And so to me, I would think that if you think they're going to lose this game, which, at -2, needing to cover is the only option, then you're kind of looking at a sweep here, I think.
So my thing, the real reason why I'm saying Memphis in 6, Warriors in 6, it's just a hedge. It's just a hedge on if they lose in this game tonight. That's all.
Yeah, just the verbal hedge. Okay, so I was on Memphis in this game, and it's always funny when you're on Memphis or on a team that at like a very, very tiny point spread, right? Like +2, in this case, +2.5 was available yesterday. And so I hopped on that. And you're watching the whole game, and like when you're betting a +2, especially in the NBA, you basically need the team to win outright, right? Like, yes, you have that sort of backdoor plan, so to speak, or not backdoor plan, but backup plan. You have this backup plan that, okay, well, maybe if it's a, super, super close game, like we get away with one. And that's kind of what happened. But the funny thing is, like, I won the bet, but because you're in this mindset for 2 hours of needing in your mind Memphis to win the game outright, there's this just weird feeling. And I had no ties to Memphis as far as like anything beyond, like I didn't bet the series and, futures, anything along those lines, right? So I should have just been absolutely gleeful by the fact that they covered the spread. And if the spread was 6.5 or 10.5 or something where I had little or very, much littler expectation of them actually winning outright, I wouldn't have felt the way that I did. But I was really bummed when Morant missed that layup. And, you mentioned the play call, and it's like, okay, like there's worse plays to have, especially we see guys drawing up plays. Joel Embiid, like fade away 3-pointers from Doc Rivers at the bell, like that sort of thing, where you go, yeah, you know what? A scoop layup for Ja Morant, like, isn't the worst thing. And honestly, it's probably the best option that team has, especially down 1, right? Where they don't necessarily need a 3. It's interesting. So Draymond gets kicked out, and that's a massive deal if it's against the Nuggets, right? Like massive, 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 because who's going to guard Nikola Jokic? Against the Grizzlies, Draymond has to be the guy that's sort of guarding everyone, right? We see, back in the heyday of Draymond, the clips of him guarding like 3 guys on one possession where he's just running around like a crazy person. There isn't that matchup on Memphis where it's like, oh, he definitely has to like lock down this guy for them to have a chance to win the game, right? Like maybe Jaren Jackson Jr., that guy was flinging in 3-pointers in the third quarter to get Memphis basically back into that game. So it's, when Draymond goes out, on the one hand, it's not the biggest deal when he goes out of that game, right? It doesn't mean curtains for the Warriors' chances of winning that game. Whereas like if he just missed a game against the Nuggets and Jokic could just go ham against the Kayvon Looneys of the world, then you're like, oh, okay, that's problematic. But on the flip side, I think a lot of people are going to come in here and be like, well, Draymond is not going to get kicked out of this game. They're going to have him for a full, 48 minutes or however many minutes, 36 to 40 minutes that Draymond's actually going to play. And yet the line, again, as of right now, right, -2, the line hasn't changed from the previous game, right? Like logically or whatever, you would think, okay, Draymond's going to play a lot more, so everybody's going to pile in on the Warriors. And maybe they do. Maybe they do pile in on the Warriors here and it moves the line, or maybe the line just doesn't move because sportsbooks are completely fine with people piling in on the Warriors. I just look at this and I go, okay, yeah, like I don't think the Grizzlies are going to win this series. Steph Curry, it's funny, like he mentioned the idea of like championship DNA after the game, but he also mentioned the idea of like getting greedy and winning 2 games in Memphis. And when you're talking to me all after the game already, like about getting greedy, it tells me that like your job was just to get one of the 2 games in Memphis. And they did catch Memphis on just an absolutely brutal travel situation. And as much as Memphis had some issues with the Timberwolves in that first round, you and I talked about the shot quality numbers, right? 90% of at least 4 out of the 6 games, they had a 90% win probability based on the shot quality. So they were playing better basketball than they actually, we say, oh, well, the Timberwolves could have won that series because of how close and they blew that one lead. But like also Memphis could have won that series really, really easily if they had just made some shots. So yeah, it's going to require some shot making at some point here, right? Desmond Bane, I didn't find he was too impactful in that game yesterday. And so I just look at it and I go, this is either a sweep or Memphis at least makes this a relatively interesting series. And just because the Warriors won without Draymond, which is something, again, they can do in a short period of time, basically a half of basketball in a series where he doesn't have that monster impact as far as dealing with the other team's best player, because it's the perimeter defense that is the issue for the Warriors because of Ja Morant being the key focus for the Memphis Grizzlies. I like Memphis in this one. I think they're going to win this game. I don't think they're going to win the series necessarily, but like just to essentially avoid a sweep potentially, I think they got to get this game. I think they do. So I'm going to be back on Memphis for a second time here in game 2. So a little bit of a mano-a-mano situation for me and you come game 2.